Hey, Rana here, and I'm going to walk you through the 500K formula. Now, this is the quickest way I know to get you to 500K a year and beyond as a consultant, and the 3 core strategies around your sales, marketing, and delivery that you're going to need to do it. Now, these are the same systems and strategies that I've used in my own business to scale to $1 million, and that we've installed into hundreds of our clients' businesses, helping them achieve $750 million worth of consulting wins over the last decade, and helping them build 100K a year, 100K a month, and in some cases, do 100K a week in recurring, consistent revenue. Now, if you're interested in getting to 500K and beyond and turning your experience and expertise into what we call an expert enterprise, which is a high profit business with less than 20 premium clients working 4 days a week, if that's not you, you're probably going to find someone else. There's a lot of tactics and pop-up gurus out there. But if you'd like to see how you can do it consistently and sustainably, keep watching. So give me a couple of minutes. I'm going to walk you through exactly how this all works and how you can apply this to your consulting business, because I've seen so many brilliant consultants over the years surviving in the usual way, relying on word of mouth referrals, chasing short-term contracts, selling hours, and hoping that the next gig comes through before the current one runs out. Often stuck in a loop of custom work, drawn out long custom proposals, slow back and forth sales, lumpy lead flow, and unpredictable income. See, there's a couple of things that are consistent in this method. So anything that you want in your business is a system or a strategy. So what I believe is, depending on where you're at, forgive my handwriting, right now, whatever you've got in terms of the number of clients that you want, the amount of revenue that you need, and the amount of lifestyle that you have planned to have by getting into your own business, comes down to the systems that you have in place and the strategies that you're using right now. Whether it's right or wrong, the way your calendar looks, the way your bank account looks, and the way your family or personal life feels comes down to these 2 words. So we know that to keep things fairly simple, we need to install 3 strategies to help you achieve the growth that you want. So the first thing that we need to look at is your model. Often the model that we see consultants have is it's super unclear. Their model is like customized around every client. So their outcome is inconsistent because every client has a different outcome. So everything that they do is ad hoc and hard to scale. And it's often built around hours, not outcomes, or sort of these deliverables with a lot of scope creep. And it's really frustrating because consultants are consistently reinventing the wheel, getting stuck behind this get paid line or this scope creep line where they work harder than they need to and get paid less than they want to. So what they need is a process that helps them articulate what they do, demonstrate how they do it, and differentiate why it matters and why somebody should choose them and not the other person with the similar business model. The idea here is that we don't want you to be pitching for work. We want to give you a process to win it. And once you've won it, to deliver it. Let me give you a quick example of a client that's done this, right? So I'll just introduce you quickly to Rob. Rob worked with us in his business, and when he came to us, he was fairly new in business. He had a lot of experience and expertise. He's in the sort of safety space, and he said, I have to make this work, Rana. This has to work. Because at that point, Rob was doing around 7K in around August 2022. So he didn't have a way to get what he did out there. He was competing with other Me Too consultants using Me Too language in a very Me Too way, just begging for work rather than it coming to him. And so we helped him create an easy to articulate and demonstrate what we call a money model. And that enabled him to grow his business from 5 figures to 7 figures from August 2022 to October 2024. It was really cool because Rob also, he designed his business around our money model, where in the word safety, the A, he made it his money model. And I'll show you a little bit more about Rob in just a second. But it just shows with the right model, what is possible for the growth of your business. Okay, the next thing you're going to need is what we call a marketing model, right? Because at this point in time, marketing is often missing in a consulting business. You come out of a big company, or maybe you're just starting out, you're looking at your personal network, and you're very visible by people who are often your peers, not your prospects. So you're not surrounding yourself with perfect future customers. So you're visible, but you're not consistently making offers. So you're getting by on word of mouth and referrals. You have no sustainable or predictable lead flow. And what you need is a simple system that connects you to the right people every single day, generating new leads and conversations every single week. And you don't need ads, or which are often expensive and hard to scale, especially if you're just sort of starting out or you're not familiar with that space. You don't need complex tech, and you don't need fancy funnels. 80% of the opportunities, leads, and conversations that we generate for ourselves and our clients come through LinkedIn and email. And to give you another example of how that looks is that when we put this into play with Tina, she came to us in a place where she had just come out of working for a company. She was starting her own consulting business. She had a very good network, but she didn't know how to get out and sort of engage it. So we gave Tina access to what we call the daily lead sequence on LinkedIn. So basically connected her with perfect future customers, helped her engage with them in a way that generated interest and conversations, and then got them into a calendar so she could talk to them about what she did and how she could help them. And the upside of that for Tina was that in just sort of 8 weeks, she went from inconsistent and lumpy lead flow to having a consistent system that reliably and easily generated new opportunities for her. So you can see on the 20th of August, she went from 25K a month with a couple of contracts she had existing that were coming to an end. And she was able to, by October, have 232K worth of opportunity closed and 279K worth of opportunity in the pipeline, which is really important, especially when it comes to growing your consulting business, giving you some consistency and some certainty, right? So the next thing that we want to look at, once you've got your offer dialed in and your marketing's working, so you're generating interest, is you have to learn how to monetize momentum. So often it's easy to win work, one-off work, but how do you turn those one-time gigs into ongoing revenue? And often there's just no strategy or consideration for how that looks, like as if a client's problems are going to be solved with one session or one workshop or one keynote. So we fix that by helping our consulting clients convert one-off clients into what we call high-trust, long-term relationship retainers, where cash flow isn't something that becomes lumpy, it becomes something that's a certainty. So you make money today, but you have cash flow certainty tomorrow. And again, to give you another example of how that looks, one of our clients that we are working with, Ty, he was able to take his offer when he sold it, and rather than selling it for hours, he started selling for outcomes. He made 156K worth of new sales in 1 month. Went from charging for time for impact. And we often say move from hourly rates to outcomes, because that's the biggest way to present to your clients a long-term vision of why they should continue to work with you. And as you can see, he was charging $750 to $1,000 an hour in December 2022, and by January 2024 he had scaled up his recurring revenue, but he had made 156K in 1 month of revenue. Now that just doesn't happen overnight, but what it does is it happens by design. And we often say that these tactics and strategies, they don't just work by having a siloed approach. You can't just have a good model and no marketing. You can't just have good marketing and a poor sales process. So when your model, message, and monetization strategy come together in a simple, streamlined system, then everything becomes easier. And that's exactly what we've built. We call this the expert money model. So where we look at your model and dial in how we position your offer in the marketplace. Then we look at your messaging and how your messaging gets interest from your marketplace. So how consistent and frequent your offers are in the marketplace, and we help give you a strategy for that. And then how we monetize, how we generate income by not just getting people in, but by helping you extend engagements and upgrade engagements so that clients are worth more. And then you don't have to work harder, you can work smarter because you have people who pay you today and then people who continue to pay you tomorrow. So this is the same strategy that helped a few of our clients like James grow 240% over 3 years. Jake go from 12K a month to over 80K a month in recurring revenue in just under 2 years. And Cyril add 300K in under 6 months while working less and earning more. Now, as well as we literally have a wall of hundreds of client results, testimonials, and wins to not only validate that what we do works, but to prove it to you that this is not something we just cooked up last week, or we haven't just been in this game for a couple of months. We've been doing this with consultants just like you for years. So let me walk you through in a little bit more detail how we would work with you to apply these strategies so that you can generate your 100K a year, 100K a month, or even 100K a week business and build what we call a 500K expert enterprise. Highly profitable, less clients, more fun. Let's dive in. So everything comes down to the amount of clients you need, how much you charge, and the kind of lifestyle that you want. So for us, 20 clients, we want to get to 40K per month, and lifestyle, we want to do it in 4 days a week. That's what we call an expert enterprise. And the first thing that we look at is your model. We need to look at how we package, what you do, and position where you do it. So we use LinkedIn as a platform to do that first because that's going to extend your reach and reputation. But that's not all that's important. You want to generate leads and sales, but here's the reality. If you can't articulate what you do confidently and demonstrate how you do it in a visual way, then you don't differentiate why someone should choose you over someone else. And you'll often hear things like, oh, I'll think about it. Can you send me some more information? I'll circle back in a few months. And then you play this ping pong game between people of like, yeah, I'm not ready now. I'll be ready later. It's because if your offer isn't clear, they're not confident. And you'll always feel like you're stuck pitching and proving yourself every single time, working so hard to convince people, constantly explaining yourself. And the idea here is we want you to make sure that these elements are crystal clear. So you get buy-in faster, which makes people want to do business with you sooner. And in most cases, what you don't need are more tools, more tactics. What you need is to do better with what you've already got, package what you've already got, all of the pieces into a clear process so you can work smarter and not harder. And this is just a clear, structured framework that turns your experience into a system, something that delivers results at scale and makes it easier for clients to say yes to you. Now, you might say, I've already got a good model, and that's fine. Everyone is a little bit different. But without looking at this first, how does that translate into marketing? How does your offer translate into marketing? Because whilst you might have a good delivery model, your marketing model might not be as effective. And without that, without these models, every project feels like you're starting from scratch. Every sale feels harder than it should be. And marketing is more expensive and more time consuming than it needs to be. You often see people then having to put out proposals and make sure that the proposals are becoming custom works of art rather than something that is productized because you've got a clear model and your marketing and your sales are all aligned. So we help you build what we call a money model. One model that shows you exactly how you solve a meaningful problem using a clear and compelling process in a way that nobody else does. So your model becomes clear, simple, valuable, and scalable. Because when you can name and frame your IP inside of a model and a process that you can easily articulate and demonstrate, people buy into you and then they buy from you. So once your model is dialed in, marketing and sales becomes easier. Let me show you a couple of people who have used this model and this process and how it's helped their businesses grow.
The threshold for me to prove to myself that I had created a sustainable business was being able to set up a system where I turned cold leads into warm conversations into sales consistently. And I'm extremely happy to say that the system that I put into place, everything that I learned through this program. I was over $150,000 in sales, and $80,000 of that was directly from LinkedIn.
You put the model together slowly to end up with this nice piece. That support has been really helpful for me in just nailing my model, making sure I'm speaking the right message. If you want to talk about overall sales in the 12 weeks, it's 60 grand. Income is more realistic now that I have that extra level of belief and proof in what I'm being doing.
So I built the program based on this session and this discussion that you and I were having. I've just signed my first client for the value about more than 300 grand a year. So that's a big opportunity thanks to this new way of thinking influence that you had on my work delivery.
I found this worked because once I satisfied my needs, my mindset shifted. My energy shifted. And before I knew it, things started to happen. I began to get the leads. I began to get more brainstorming calls, into launch calls, into sales.
So what I've achieved is a 6-figure contract. They bought my model, so that's what sold them in the end, was the model that I'd done.
Money loves a system. So that's what got me to where I was. From where I was to where I am. You blew me out of the water with your value, your actual resources and the processes. It's clear, it's simple, and it's a system. Well done.
Okay, so once we've got your model dialed in and you're super clear on your offer, we take that offer and we deploy it into LinkedIn. So we use LinkedIn and email to create what we call active and passive marketing. Active is what gets you opportunities today, and passive is what builds your brand so you get opportunities tomorrow. Because the reality is that you need an opportunity pipeline. Look, you need an opportunity pipeline because without new leads, you don't have a business. You've got a hope strategy or a waiting game. And most consultants, that's why they continue to rely on word of mouth, repeat clients, or random referrals, because they don't have a strategy when it comes to marketing. So it's not sustainable, it's not strategic, and it's not predictable. So we change that by helping you build a daily and systemized lead system centered around LinkedIn. It's the best platform on the planet for consultants selling high trust services to decision makers. And decision makers are the biggest difference between growing your business fast or slow, and getting access to them is key. So we install your daily lead sequence, which is a short, dialed in, daily rhythm that gets you visible, connects you to decision makers, and keeps you in conversations with perfect fit prospects every week. So there's no cold spam or weird strategy. You don't have to post a bunch of content, just practical approaches to utilizing something like LinkedIn with LinkedIn events, LinkedIn newsletters, LinkedIn outreach, InMail, so that we're building your professional network and engaging with it strategically and consistently to help you land the right opportunities with more predictability. But here's the most important part that most consultants miss. The number of consultants that I speak to that simply don't have an email database of perfect future customers is shocking, because the people who are growing fast own their own assets. You can't build a business off someone else's platform alone. LinkedIn is a great start, but we want to help you transition off it consistently. So that's why we don't just help you grow your network, we also help you grow your warm email database. So now you're not just getting visible, but you're collecting and nurturing leads in a list that you own. Now that list becomes one of your most valuable business assets because it's collected a bunch of people who are your perfect future customers that we've targeted strategically using LinkedIn, and it's full of future buyers that you can reach out anytime, especially when it comes to marketing events, which we'll get to in a second, and then starting to build relationships in a multi-channeled approach. See, when your pipeline is full, or at least you're surrounded with perfect future customers, your business feels calm and it gives you the confidence. So when the right people respond to your message, you have the conversations with the right people, and marketing feels simple and sales get easier. And that's the power of smart positioning, daily systems, and owning your own audience. Here's what a couple of our clients have to say about it.
We're getting some success with LinkedIn, doing around about sort of 20K a month in revenue back then. Since we've started, we've probably tripled the business at least in terms of from where we were to what we're doing now.
Those conversations turn into clients, those clients turn into success stories. Certainly in terms of revenues, ROI is multiple times. You guys, massive help. The system works.
This time I've ended up helping 14 clients, which is basically an average one of a month. It's estimated somewhere around about $84,000.
Certain tactics that I really want to fine tune. It looks like it's paying dividends, and I know if we just keep focusing on it.
Having the expert program available has really meant that I got confidence in a system that works to enable me to experience that freedom on a daily basis and to do this business.
Now I offer a 45 minutes workshop each month and get call books in, like reaching my 50% goal to make us 2 sales in a month.
It's the whole process, LinkedIn, couple of messaging, getting to the brainstorm call, and that's for a rolling on monthly program that's kicking off a new series. $2,400 in the bank.
We probably literally 10 times our price.
Now we are consistently getting leads and opportunities that are just slowly trickling through.
With everything that I've learned through TIP, I collected about 73 leads. That was all through LinkedIn activity, so I know that was genuinely from what you guys provided, which was amazing. That equated essentially to a phone call to about 80,000 in opportunity, which is pretty good for 3 months from a startup of $2,000, and generated probably about 30,000 in sales out of that.
One of the things, I'm a data-driven person, so I like looking at numbers. So I've got my cheat sheet here in front of me, and I'd like to actually read them because I think that it's pretty powerful when I go through the numbers. After 8 weeks of hard doing the work, I've invoiced $232,000. I've got a very strong pipeline of a further $279,000. So what that means is that's over $500,000.
We had a hit, and Lucy, how much was that hit for? Do you recall?
I think it was like $500,000.
$330,000.
So once we've dialed in your marketing and you're starting to generate that consistent lead flow and that opportunity pipeline is healthy and gives you something reliable to tap into each and every week and month, we then show you how to turn that into 2 kinds of revenue, right? There are 2 kinds. There is what we call OTO and MRR. OTO is one-time only revenue. And there's nothing wrong with being able to get in the door to a company or working with a client by doing something one-off. The goal is, how do you strategically position that so it gives you revenue and a retainer ongoing? It enables you to be able to extend the engagement and upgrade the engagement so people see you as a long-term solution, not just a quick fix. So conversion, right? So you need to convert. And obviously there's the old way where you have a conversation with someone and we'll help you streamline that process. But what we find is that the best sales are the ones that happen without pressure, without this proposal ping pong, without this months of just checking in or circling back. So here's what most consultants miss. Sales are easier when people experience your thinking, not just hear your pitch. Work with me for a second. So you don't need more sales calls long term. You need a structured, small event that lets your perfect fit prospects see your process in actions. We call these small events with big profit. Now, I know what you might be thinking. I'm not a natural speaker. I don't want to be on camera for hours. Events feel big, overwhelming, complicated, but that's not what we do. So the idea here is, rather than sell one-to-one to one-to-one all the time, we're going to help design and help you deliver small, lean, low friction events. Think like private Zoom workshops, live problem-solving sessions, lunch and learns, intimate roundtables for 3 to 10 people. Now, these aren't just always online webinars, they can be offline as well, but you've got to think of them as conversations with structure. So you can sell at scale eventually. Instead of one-to-one, you can sell one-to-many. So no pitch decks, not a lot of stage lights, just you presenting to people who show up on a monthly or weekly basis to learn from you because they need what you do. Now, we've helped clients who have never run an online or offline event before go on to land like 10K retainers from a 45-minute session. Some people have even re-engaged old leads and conversations that they thought were dead simply by inviting them to an event. So we've had established consultants shift from chasing clients to choosing them, all because the right people got a taste of how they think. So I want you to think of these events as doing the heavy lifting for you. And even if you're not designing them to deliver big client retainers, you should be increasing your credibility in the marketplace in any case. So pre-selling your expertise is the easiest way to make sales simpler, to be able to warm up your marketplace before you even have to make an offer. Because let's face it, nothing makes sales easier than someone who's bought into what you do before. And I often say, people have to buy into you before they buy from you. And there's nothing like you showing them what you do in an event where you're on stage teaching that makes people desire and want what you have. And that's exactly what these events do. They don't just generate leads, they create trust, they build credibility, and they accelerate conversions. So just check out a couple of these clients who have used some of these micro events and this style of selling to generate more business for their consulting company. Check it out.
I went through basically a 90-day intensive course. The results I have basically now, whenever I have a lead, I have a process I can run them through to convert them into a client. I have way more leads. I'd say 10 times the amount of leads that I had previously. The success rate has been unbelievable, and from a revenue point of view, my income has, I'd say, if not doubled in only the last 4 or 5 months.
We're now doing them weekly. And off the back of our workshops that we do weekly, we did one last week and I did about easily 150 grand worth of proposals off the back of that workshop, probably 200 grand.
What I've been able to do is to help me create a map rather than just turn up somewhere and go. Using something that I love to do, would do for nothing anyway, and turn that into a business mode as opposed to just a, hey, I'm going to talk to people. It's been absolutely terrific, and I'm looking forward to more excitement and more money as we go through.
I just want to take a second to actually really celebrate just how successful this intensive program is. This program is something that I could eventually bring other people on, train.
So as we say, success loves a strategy. And if you don't have a strategy, you're just relying on feeling and hope. And ultimately, it comes down to the kind of business that you want, but the principles remain the same. The problems are always going to be someone's model and their offer. If it's not clear and not compelling, your marketplace won't be confident, and you'll be constantly working hard to convince people that what you do is great. Second, if you don't get your message to market and people aren't seeing your face, your name, and your offer, then you're always going to be relying on other people to grow your business, word of mouth and referrals. And finally, if you're only focusing on, I've got a program, I sell it one-off, and you're not using that as a springboard into ongoing retainers, then you're simply going to work harder than you need to and earn less than you could. So when we put these together inside of the expert money model, we build this version for you. And look, I get it. You've probably heard all the big promises before. Maybe you've been burned, maybe you're skeptical, and quite frankly, you should be, because there are a lot of instant experts out there selling more sizzle than steak. Just an Australian saying. Now, this system isn't theory. It's results proven, built in the real world with real consultants solving real problems and making real profit. Now, we're not talking some overnight success, quick fix, or internet hype kind of strategy. We're talking measured, consistent wins from people just like you, people who were stuck, second guessing themselves, unsure how to grow, or maybe they're growing okay, but they've just kind of hit this glass ceiling and they didn't know what to do next until they had access to the right systems and right strategy, and that made the difference for them. And it can make the difference for you. So depending on the kind of consulting business you want, how many clients you want to work with, how much revenue you want to make, and what kind of lifestyle you want to have while you run and grow your business, it's going to determine the kind of strategy that you need. But it's also going to help us identify the gaps that you've got right now so we can help you put the right strategy in the right place to help you grow faster. And so right now, based on what you've heard, you might think my offer could be clearer. Like I could use help getting clearer on helping my offer land with people faster so it attracts better quality people and gets people to say, I'm interested sooner. You might be looking at your leads going, I'm running all my leads through word of mouth and referral. I really could use some help getting more consistent lead flow and building that opportunity pipeline. Or finally, you might say, hey, revenue wise, it's trickling in. It's ad hoc income. It's not consistent income. So depending on where you're at, I often say it's less about guesswork and it's more about framework. And we've got a framework for every problem, challenge, or roadblock that you've got right now. I guess what we need to do is explore what's important to you and why is it important. So that's why every month we open up a handful of spots for consultants who are looking to grow their consulting business to 500K and beyond. And if that's you and you'd like to explore how our strategies could apply to your business to help you grow faster, head on over to theexpertproject.com/launch. That's expertproject.com/launch. And every month we make a handful of spots available for people who want to seriously explore growing their consulting business using the proven strategies that we've gone through in today's video. Again, you might get to this point and say, I've got some great ideas, I want to explore that on my own, and that's absolutely fine. Or you might be in that place where you're like, listen, I do need help. I'd like to grow a bit faster and I'd like to understand how you could help me. And again, if that's you, head on over to expertproject.com/launch and let's have a look at how we can help you grow smarter and not harder and explore what's possible for you.